I want to talk about inflation and why I believe it's being used as an excuse by many CEOs and business leaders. And I'll give you an example, a more personal example for me. In 2019, I bought a Corvette. I think I spent about $75,000 on it. I needed a new car in 2024. And I then went out and bought a $48,000 Tesla. So you can say that like for like, these things did inflate in price, but the reality is the tool is the same. It gets you from A to B. And I actually spent probably 40% less on the Tesla than I did on the Corvette. And therefore, I experienced deflation within the tool, even though 5 years of high inflation had gone by. And I do this across the board. I actually downsized from a 7,500 square foot home to a 3-bedroom apartment, which was 25% cheaper. So again, I experienced deflation within my property. And what did I do with that money? I used it for real assets that would take advantage of like for like or real inflation numbers. And you can do this in your business. We moved from New York City, our US office, to Miami, and we are paying 1/3 of the square foot price in Miami. We're also paying about 20% less than we were in New York for salaries. So when people talk about inflation, they're talking about average. And it's funny because when people talk about salaries, they're not aiming for an average salary. Especially if you're in the C-suite, you're probably being paid 5 times or more than the average salary. So we've got to move away from this oversimplistic inflation and this way of thinking. And if you are on minimum wage and 100% of your salary is going to pay for supermarket shopping and rent, then unfortunately you're a flag in the wind, and inflation does matter because you can't really make these choices. Just in the same way as if you have a really tiny business, then yes, you're probably somewhat a victim of inflation. But once your business is doing $1 million plus, and the bigger the better, the less you have to worry about inflation within your supply chain. And you can start to use technology as well. So I might be paying more for a unit rate of interpreting or translation when a human is doing it. But I can apply AI and bring the combined human rate down significantly. And we've seen over a 30% decrease in our unit rate costs within our supply chain, even though in recent years I've seen a 10% inflationary increase in what I'm paying the humans. So we shouldn't get carried away with this inflationary number of 3% or 4%. I can tell you, if I go to the supermarket, I'm paying 10% more than what I paid 2 years ago. And if I look at the numbers, I should only be paying 7% more. And that's because I'm choosing to buy organic, I'm choosing to buy healthier goods that there is a premium for, and there's an inflationary premium for. But in business, I don't need a Rolls Royce. I don't need organic. I need a lovable product, but I don't necessarily need to overpay for these services. So when you're looking at your supply chain, don't look at the like for like. Look at what you can do. Can you move from an expensive city to an inexpensive suburb? Can you move from an expensive supply chain to an AI or automated version of that? And you can still pay the humans more and still have a lower unit rate. And I think that in this current economy and in this current market, unit rates are going to be really important. People have less money, they have less disposable incomes, and therefore businesses are going to have less money and less money to spend on what they spent in the past. And procurement managers are going to scrutinize, and they want to buy at a lower rate at a time where you are still going to have technically inflation. So therefore, you're going to have to deflate in your supply chain, and it's absolutely possible, even if you're seeing on the news that inflation is 3% and 4% a year. So I'm going to give you a real-world example. I was recently on the phone with my attorney based out of New York City, and he said the demand because of AI is down about 30% for his practice, but yet profit is up. So I asked him, how so? He's closed down his Manhattan office. He's actually opened up in Jericho in Long Island, and he's reduced his support staff, his paralegals, his assistants. Now, if you call up, you get an AI person answer his phone, and he deploys various technology to help quickly review and make edits to contracts that then he can do a human level review. And at the end of the day, the product is the same. You're still getting a contract that's been reviewed and carried out with the same guarantees as any other time in history. But they are deploying technology to get the result. They're also reducing their cost base, and they are then able to extract just as much profit. And what he told me is they're having a conversation now is, should they drop their hourly rate by 15, 20% to recapture market share, or should they maintain their profit? And it's a very interesting argument. And in my business, what I rather do, because I'm playing long-term, I want a business that's going to be around in 10, 15, 20 years, I want to drop my rate because I want scale. I want to be there in 20 years' time. I don't want to be displaced by the clever person who dropped their rate to capture market share. So you have to decide what your strategy is. And I can give you another real-world example. We looked at a number of call centers to outsource to. In the end, we actually decided to insource it because all those call centers told us that they've got to increase rates annually because of inflation, because they're saying that their rent is going up every single year, 5%, and their call center costs in general, whether it be staffing or technology, are also going up around 3 to 5%. And we decided to insource it because we could negotiate better rates with our landlord. And when we were able to expand our call center, we were actually able to get a lower per square foot rate. But we were also able to apply AI and see some of the upsides there. And we predict that over the next 24 months, 10 to 15% of all the calls that we do can be replaced by AI. And that doesn't mean to say we're going to hire less people and we're going to pay less for those people. Quite the opposite, because we're passing those cost savings onto our customer, we're capturing market share, and actually we suspect that we will pay more next year to our call center reps, but we'll also need more of them. So it's interesting. Don't be a victim of inflation. You're not a flag in the wind. You are in control of your own destiny. Make good decisions. Recognize ways to have deflationary practices within your supply chain. Take advantage, capture market share, and grow your business. Until next week, good luck. And remember to subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. I know everyone says it at the end of every video, but it really helps me. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not selling you any consultancy products. I don't have anybody sponsoring these videos. So please subscribe, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you next week.